Hello, wonderful people. Thank you so much for visiting my YouTube channel. This is Rosabel Hernandez, and I am reporting from Maryland. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. Please share this channel with everyone and anyone you know. So today's message, I want to talk about something very personal, as I have 3 personal stories to share with you. Today's topic is rejection is God's protection. So let's start by identifying what is rejection. Rejection is the total opposite of feeling accepted. Rejection is feeling like no one wants you. Rejection is hurtful. Rejection will chip away at your self-esteem and your confidence. Rejection is not feeling wanted. However, here's a however, but here's the but. But oftentimes, rejection is God's protection. Rejection is God's redirection. So the first story I want to share is kind of funny, but at the time I was going through it, it was not funny. So I was in my late teens and I wanted to, venture off on my own and not work in the family business, right? And so I wanted to take a shot at office work. I had never worked in an office before. So where did I start? The first place I started was a temp agency. I submitted my resume. They called me with a gig, office gig. And for starters, I didn't even know what to wear. I had on a cute shirt that you could see through a little bit with a tank top underneath and some cute, pants to go with it. And I was just looking fly in an office environment. Asked me how long I lasted there before I was called by the temp agency and said, you got to go. You got to go. I was there a couple hours, maybe 2-3 hours max. I was a hot mess. I was a mess. I was like, and I felt so rejected. I didn't know, what, me? You're telling me to go? Oh my God, I never worked in an office before. Well, that experience helped me down the road because I would say maybe a year or 2 later, I got my first office job at a law firm. And that law firm prepared me well. I was there maybe a year or 2. I don't even remember. It was wonderful. It was training ground. Where there was rejection, there was redirection. The second story is more of an emotional. It had to do with a guy. I was in my 20s. Now, mind you, before this guy, I had been in love maybe once or twice in my entire life. And I'd been in love in my early 20s and, I was really in love. And that person never rejected me, but he was snatched from me as in God's like, he ain't the one. But this particular person, he picked someone else. And I felt blindsided. I'm like, oh my goodness. And it wasn't that I was in love with him. It was the hurt of rejection. It was so bad. I couldn't cry. I didn't even cry. Instead, I felt depressed. I went into a depression. And I started to feel bad about myself. Like, was I not enough? He picked her over me? Really? But it was God's redirection. That wasn't it. He wasn't for me. And I thank God for redirection. The third story, there I was in my room. I think it was 1998 or 99. I'd applied to several universities, 2 of which were in state. Both rejected me. Have you ever gotten a letter that says, we regret to inform you? We regret, they should just say, we reject you. Instead of we regret, no, we reject you, right? That's how it feels. We reject you. I was devastated. I was crying. And a good friend of mine called. He didn't know what was going on. But he caught me in the middle of my drama crying. Ooh! But later in the conversation, I mentioned, because I failed to mention him, in the beginning of the conversation, that I had already been accepted to another school, but it was out of state. So when I told him this, he said, then what are you crying for? You got in some school. What are you crying for? It was because of the feeling of rejection. These other two schools in my home state didn't want me. I was devastated. But later down the road, this university outside of my state, was the best thing ever because it exposed me to different ethnic backgrounds, which later down the road prepared me for international travel, for international endeavors. That university that God had already pre-selected, redirected for me, was the best thing that happened. So I know it doesn't feel good to be rejected. I know it doesn't. We've all experienced rejection in one form or another. I know we feel like our lives are falling apart, but in reality, it's aligning you to your purpose. That pain is actually power, and is serving you for your next adventure, for your purpose. It's all part of the preparation. It's all part of the realignment, the alignment. So understand this. I know rejection is painful. We have all been through it. It's okay if you feel like you've been knocked down, but get back up again. God has better for you. That rejection is God's protection. That rejection is God's redirection. And it's aligning you to bigger and better. Don't ever think that something was a waste of time. And don't you dare. Single ladies, don't you dare be crying over no man now. Don't you dare fight over no man. No. Step away and let God do it. If you're in a job that you hate, or maybe you got fired or laid off or whatever, it's God's redirection. If you're getting a letter that says, we regret, and you feel like it's saying, we reject, it's okay. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. Thank you very much for allowing me to share these 3 personal stories with you. I hope it has motivated you. I hope it has put a glimpse of inspiration in you to get up, to rise up, and to understand that it's God's protection as He is redirecting you to bigger and better. That pain is going to turn into power. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Blessings.